Hi, I'm Erik Voss, and Avengers Endgame is now available on digital HD, soon Blu-ray, meaning we finally have a look at the various deleted scenes removed from the film, removed for reasons ranging from animal cruelty to public urination. I'm making it sound worse than it was. But these deleted clips actually give us a lot of insight into the even fuller 3-hour and 10-minute movie Endgame almost was. Now, I already broke down the take a knee alternate ending with Tony Stark's death. Go check that out when you can, but here, let's break down the other 5 deleted scenes for all the fun details that you might have overlooked, and spoiler warning for everything MCU related at this point. Here we go. All right, let's start with this Thor and Rocket deleted scene from the Asgard sequence of the time heist. Rocket was sneaking up to find Thor relieving himself over a balcony. Yeah, so much for laying low. But then Thor says,
"Do you know that I saw all these people die? So this is a little bit difficult for me. Just give me the thingy. Just give me the thing. Just give me the thing. I didn't even want to come here. Living all these repressed memories."
Yeah, so in the Endgame theatrical cut, Thor's awkwardness and clumsiness in Asgard seem like byproducts of his general drunkenness, but also depression over revisiting his mother on the day of her death, and yeah, his discomfort at the idea of seeing his ex, Jane Foster, especially when he looks like that. But now, this deleted scene shows that it's also a matter of walking the halls of his old home after seeing it torched and obliterated by Surtur in Ragnarok. That's gotta be pretty traumatic, and Thor must feel a bit torn over wanting to warn all of his old people. Thor torn to warn. Thor shrugs when Rocket asks him for directions, which, yeah, kind of defeats the purpose of Thor being selected for this leg of the time heist. We learned at one of the Endgame panels at Comic-Con that the screenwriters used a dry erase board to map out where each Infinity Stone was each year in the MCU timeline. And knowing this, it's interesting that they insisted Thor and Rocket go to Asgard in 2013 for the Reality Stone, and Rhodey and Nebula go to Morag in 2014 for the Power Stone, when they could have just all joined forces to visit the Collector's Vault in 2014 when both the Reality Stone and Power Stone were both briefly there. The Avengers combined stone trips with the Space, Mind, and Time Stone in New York in 2012. Why didn't they do the same here? Would have been a lot easier to do. Rather than awkwardly sucking angry Reality Stone sludge out of Jane Foster, they could have just simply lifted it in canister form off of the Collector's Vault shelf. Now, I suppose we already got to revisit the Collector's Vault in Infinity War, so maybe with Endgame they wanted to revisit another past MCU location, like Asgard. This deleted scene would have just underlined the importance of Thor returning to his home of Asgard, since it would have been before it exploded in Ragnarok. Anyway, moving on to the next deleted scene, which would have played early in the film on Tony Stark's farm immediately before he talked to his daughter Morgan outside. Tony and Pepper make a little small talk about their alpaca Gerald eating their goji berries.
First of all, Gerald is our alpaca.
It's not my alpaca if he's eating my gojis. Tell Madam Secretary lunch is in 5.
I will collect our alpha female post haste.
So Tony and Pepper's words here suggest that Morgan Stark is really the one calling the shots in this household, as the only child of a man who never received any affection from his father. Also, apparently in real life, Robert Downey Jr. does own alpacas. Okay, on to the next deleted scene. This one between Cap and Rhodey, apparently set in the middle of the time heist brainstorming session. Rhodey asks about the events from the end of Captain America: The First Avenger, during which the Tesseract fell through the hull of the Valkyrie into the ocean below, and Cap crashed a plane into the ice.
Why did you have to crash the plane anyway?
There's bombs on board.
Bombs on board. And you couldn't have jumped out of the plane before you crashed it?
So this is just some solid trolling by Rhodey, asking the kind of real questions that nerds like us bother the screenwriters with at things like Comic-Con panels. Folks, there just isn't always an answer that makes sense. Sometimes it's just a matter of setting up things for more interesting story to happen. That's okay. But yes, they should have gone to the Collector's Vault instead of Asgard and Morag. Also, notice in the background of the scene, you can see Lebowski Thor snoring on the sofa, Thor snore, and Hawkeye and Black Widow chatting, probably about how deep their pain is. Another deleted scene continues this gag during the time heist brainstorming, with Rocket mocking the Avengers for struggling so much against the Chitauri in the Battle of New York.
How long did you fight these guys?
About, two or 3 hours.
Hours? The Chitauri, the suckiest army in the galaxy. Why didn't you just blow up the mothership?
We didn't know that was a thing.
You didn't know that was a thing! Everyone knows. Hey! There we go.
So again, they're using humor to address plot holes from past MCU films as the rules and stakes change movie to movie. Kind of like that Shuri, why didn't you just line to Banner in Infinity War. Here, Stark is the one to shave the shame into Rocket, since Stark was the one to nuke the Chitauri mothership at the last second to save them all, nearly costing him his life and yeah, resulting in years of psychological trauma for him. And speaking of Stark's emotional state, the final deleted scene we'll look at is from Tony's reunion with his father, Howard, in 1970. There was a brief moment between their elevator ride to the surface and their goodbye hug beside the car, in which Tony shared with Howard the concerns of fatherhood.
You start worrying about a legacy, you want to leave him a better world, and then you realize you haven't done all that much to give him one.
You want to come work for me, Potts?
I'm a little tied up in futures right now.
Ha! Futures! I understood that reference. If you think about it, Tony, by talking about his concerns to do more to leave a legacy for his daughter Morgan, is also trying to help Howard be a better father to his younger self. He knew long after Howard's death that all of Howard's creations were really about leaving something behind for his son Tony, but Howard never openly conveyed that to Tony with any affection. And now, Tony's trying to impart onto Howard the lesson that he started to discover in the first Iron Man, that you can't build a better world by being a weapons manufacturer. You gotta apply technology to more peaceful ends. Now again, you can check out my breakdown of the 6th deleted scene, the alternate Stark death funeral montage, in a separate episode. But of these other scenes, which deleted scene do you wish was kept in Avengers Endgame? All of them? Yeah, sure. Comment down below with your thoughts and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Erik Voss. Subscribe to New Rockstars for breakdowns and theories of everything Marvel. Thank you for joining me. And if Marvel really loved us 3000, they would release 3 whole new hours of deleted scenes, string them all together to an alternate cut of Avengers Endgame. We'll wait.